Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar. I will show you now something about our company BRC Solar and also about our optimizers. Let me shortly begin with the founders of BRC Solar. You can see I'm one of them. My name is Pascal Rüsinger. I'm the management director of BRC Solar and I'm responsible for the finance, HR and sales department. On the left side, we have Richard Brace. He is a master electrical engineering and responsible for the research and the development. And also on the right side, we have Tim Czarnecki here. He's master handcraftsman, so he has some practical experience. He knows how to bring these systems out on the roofs. Together, we met at the university and we started to found BRC Solar in 2018. With a clear vision in mind. We want to utilize the unused potential of photovoltaic systems out there, and easy to say, we want to have all the roofs suitable for photovoltaic. If there's a shading problem or different orientation, it's not a problem any longer if you use our optimizers. Now, the team is not these three guys anymore. We have grown in the last years. Now we are up to 40 employees right here with our own office, and we all share this same dream, this same vision that we want to help all the house owners and businesses worldwide to become energy independent with photovoltaic. And it doesn't matter what kind of roof you have, because with optimizers, you will always have the maximum amount of energy out of your photovoltaic system. So, some words about the development. At first, the production development. Like I said, we founded in 2018. We were students at the university, and this is something you see here on the image on the left. It was one of the first prototypes we made by ourselves. We did in the laboratory of the university. We made our own coils. But now we have production partners and we are able to produce in a high quantity and quality the optimizers that you can install on top of your roof. Then on the side of the team, like I mentioned before, we started as these three guys with two working students with an office in the university. And now we are a bigger company. We have a really big team. We have our own office here in Ettlingen in Germany, and we work hard together to fulfill this vision. Then on the testing scenarios, we always test our optimizers with the different inverters out there. So we started with external testing facilities at the university, for example. But till now, we now have test facilities of the capacity of up to 130 kilowatt, so that we can always test the newest generation of the different inverters in combination with our optimizers to bring out the best system for the end craftsman out in the world. The first thing is, why should you use BRC Solar, the products of us? Let me start with a small summarization. We have a really innovative product, I would say, an innovative technology. We have a patented electronic of the optimizer that it switches off when it's not needed. So you have no power losses in the time where no optimization is needed. We have a really efficient MPP tracking. We always say it's ultra fast MPP tracking. In order to be faster at the maximum power point, it's more for the efficiency. We have no wireless communication, no wireless connection, but now start with the technology by itself. I begin explaining the modules working by itself. So when you look at these graphics here, you have the different combinations of voltage and current your module can have. Yeah, you have two outer influences, I would say, on the performance of your module. You have, on the one hand, you have the radiation. The higher the radiation is, the more current your module can produce. On the other hand, you have the temperature. When the temperature is really high, you have less voltage. If you have a low temperature, you have a really high voltage. So the best for the module would be a really high radiation and a low temperature outside in order to have the maximum power out of your module. There's one specific point in this graphics here. This is this point where the module can produce the highest amount of energy, of power, This is the maximum power point, or in short, it is the MPP. To find this MPP in your whole string, this is the job of your inverter. So the inverter always looks for the best situation, the best current, the best voltage that your whole string would produce the maximum amount of power. So let's see that in a real scenario. In this scenario, we have 6 modules. They are in a series connection. And really important here is, because of the series connection, the current is the same everywhere. So this one module can now produce, let's say, 10 amps. Then all the other modules can just produce this 10 amps. So the module with the least amount of current would reduce the current of the whole string. You have the voltage, it will be added together in a serial connection, and you have the power of each module. So if you look at the graphic of your whole string, now you see that you have the maximum amount of current, 10 amps in this string, and you have the voltage of 240 volt. So the maximum power of this string is now 2400 watts, because you have no problem right now. Let's see what happens now if we have a problem. Like in this scenario, the sun sets in the evening, and now this one tree shades this one module. Like I said before, the radiation is necessary for the current. So in this scenario, this one module can't produce this 10 amps any longer. It's just able to produce this 5 amps. It wouldn't be a problem, because this module still can produce 200 watts of power. But like I said before, the series connection of the modules is the problem. So not only this one module can produce 5 amps, all the other modules can produce just 5 amps. So you have a decrease of your power of 50%. And in this situation, the MPP of the string would be at 5 amps and 240 volts. So at 1200 watts. This is a situation we had with quite older inverters, because these inverters were happy with the first MPP they find. They say, okay, this is the maximum power point, I will do that, and everything is fine. Newer generation of inverters, they look for more MPPs. So they say, okay, this is the first one I find. Now let's see if I increase the current even further, what will happen there? And what will happen, you can see on the right side. If the inverter wants a higher current that this one shaded module could produce, the bypass diodes, which are installed in the junction box of the module, gets activated, and this one module gets bridged out of the system. So we have no power of this one module, but on the good side, we have that all the other modules can produce 10 amps. So we have now a maximum power point back at this 10 amps again, but we would decrease the voltage of the string by one module. So we have a voltage of 200 volt. So we have now a power of 2000 watts, what is higher than on the left side with the local MPP tracker. It's better than the left side, but why do you still need optimizers out there? And the main reason you can see here directly, because this one module could produce 200 watts, but right now it's not able to do that. And even worse, this rest amount of energy, this 200 watts, will be transformed into heat. You will have hot spots on your modules, on the cells of your modules. The cells get really, really hot, and they could be destroyed over the time. So the reason why you need optimizers if you have problematic modules is, on the one hand, the efficiency, the power that gets lost, and on the other hand, this danger for the modules that they could be destroyed. Like I said before, this difference between the inverters is, on the left side, it is an inverter with local MPP tracking. So it's happy with the first MPP they find. And on the right side, you have global MPP tracking. All the newer inverters have that they look for all the MPPs out there and decide for the best one on the power side. So what happens if we add an optimizer here? You need, if you use an optimizer by BRC Solar, we divide this electronical world into 2 sides. The one side on the side of the module, and the one side on the side of the string. On the side of the module, we know that we have here a current of 5 amps left, and we have a voltage of 40 volt. On the right side, we detect by the inverter that he wants more than this 5 amps. In this scenario, the inverter wants 10 amps. So we detect this difference in the current, and then the optimizer starts to optimize. So it's decreasing the voltage in order to increase the current to the level of all the other modules. So the good thing is, all the other modules can now produce this 10 amps. They are not slowed down by this one shaded module, but the rest amount of energy, this 200 watts, can still be inserted into the PV system. So you have the power of 2200 watts in your system, and there's no danger of hotspots any longer because there is no energy which is wasted right now. So let's have a look of the different areas for this application of optimizers. Like I said before, it's obviously the shading. But besides of the shading, you have different other applications. Every time you have modules in your string that have a problem with the radiation, that gets lower radiation than other modules, then an optimizer can be added. So you have this also with different inclinations and also different orientations of your roof. If you're not able to divide the different orientations into 2 different strings and have to combine them into one string, you will always have one side that has less radiation than the other side. And then it is necessary to put optimizers on the side that has a less radiation in order that the better side doesn't get blocked by the lower side. So let's have a look on a real example of a roof. When we see this roof, we see the area which is shaded right now is left free. There are no modules mounted there because of the shading problem. You could do that like that, but this is something we don't want to have in our vision. We want to have all the roofs, all the areas suitable for photovoltaic. So we want to have an image like this one. We want to have modules also in the shaded area. But if you do nothing right now, don't add optimizers here, you would have hotspot problem. So the modules wouldn't produce energy while they are shaded, and also you would have hotspots, so a danger for the modules. So you should use optimizers. Now you can use other optimizers with really big competition. For example, it would look like that. You would have an optimizer on each of the modules out there. They are always active because they don't have this deactivation I told you before. And also you have to combine it with certain inverters in order that they working together. So we said, okay, we found this company. We want to have the most efficient way to optimize a roof like that. So with BRC, the image would look like that. You have just these 5 optimizers here, which are needed. You are inverter independent, so you can use the inverter you always use. You have no radio communication. So even with the monitoring version of our optimizer, it would communicate via power line. No extra cable, no wireless communication, really easy to install. So it's really simple, just a plug and play system, no programming required. We have high quality components, of course, and we are suitable for 85 degrees ambient temperature. The ultra fast MPP tracking I mentioned before, that our optimizer will find the MPP faster than all the other ones, 20 times faster. So we are higher in efficiency. The automatic switch off is in order that when no shading, no problem is on this particular module, the optimizer doesn't have to work and you have no power losses and no reduce in efficiency of your whole photovoltaic system. And of course, you need them only where they are needed. So in this scenario, 5 on the one side also would add 5 on the other side, I think, but you don't have to use optimizers on each module on your roof. So what are the different products we offer? We have 2 different series. On the one side, we have the Power Optimizer M500. I always say it's the most efficient one because it has no additional functionalities. This is the optimizer you use if you have a problem with, for example, just 3 modules. You put the optimizer on these 3 modules and everything is fine. It's really cheap, efficient, and simple to install. On the other hand, we have now the M600-M system. It's an optimizer with a monitoring functionality. So now the end customer and you as a handcraftsman has the possibility to see the power of each module where an optimizer is installed on your app, on the BRC Power Manager app. In order to do that, you need an extra gateway. I will mention that later. So let's start with the M500. It's like I said before, it's the solution when you just need an easy and cheap and efficient way to optimize some of your modules. Simple plug and play, best quality, easy to install, all the things I said before. So it's totally easy to have some of these optimizers always in the car. And if you see on the roof, this one module has a shading problem, you can just go down, back to your car, take one of the optimizers, bring it back on, 4 plugs, and everything is fine. Also, you can use it, like I said, you can use it in the whole string. You can use just one in a string if it's needed. So there's no complexity in planning. You just need an optimizer where there's a problem. Then now I'm able to also talk about the new system, the M600-M system. This is also an optimizer. All the good things I mentioned before, you also have there, but now you have add-on a monitoring system. The cool thing is that our communication is via the power line, so you don't need an extra cable, you don't need wireless communication. All you need is the BR Connect, and you just put the strings through the 3 holes of BR Connect. We get the data out of the magnetic field and everything is fine. You have the BRC Power Manager app where you can see the power of each module independently. Here, a really important thing to mention is that with the M600-M, in order to have this communication, in order to see on your app the power of each module, you need at least 4 of these optimizers per string. You can't say, I have just a problem with one module, so I put one of the optimizers there and everything's fine. You need to put 4 M600-M Power Optimizers per string at least. But you can also say, hey, I want to see everything, so I fully optimize my whole system. Then the end customer can see the performance of each module, and he always will have the best efficiency of your whole system. In the Power Manager app, you see it here. You can see the power of each of the modules. You see the voltage, you see the current, you see the temperature of each module independently. And you also see when the optimizer needs to work. When it's working, it is green. When it's not working right now, it's just blue. You get the information, what the module can produce in this kind of situation, but you have no power losses of the optimizer itself because it's not need to optimize right now. You get the app over the Google Play Store and the App Store from Apple. Let's end this short presentation with the 5 main questions, I would say. The first question you always have to ask yourself is, do you need optimizers in your system? And the easy answer is, you need always optimizers if there is any problem with different irradiation in your string. So if you have a shading, if you have different orientations in the string, you might need optimizers. If you're not sure if you need optimizers, I would say you need these 3 steps. At first, you're planning your string. So you always try that in your string, all the modules have the same inclination and the same orientation. Then you don't need any optimizers if you can assure that. Very important, don't use optimizers if you have parallel strings. So some inverters have 1 MPP and you can install 2 parallel strings to that. Don't use optimizers for that. Just make sure that these modules which are in parallel are always the same inclination, the same orientation, and there are no problems. Then you also don't need optimizers there. So when you did this, when you planned your string, then you have to think about where the optimizers are needed. So if you planned everything and you see you need to combine different orientations and different inclinations in the same string because of the minimum amount of voltage of your inverter, for example, then we always say just optimize the whole string, because then never one side will shorten down the other side. And then, of course, if you have specific some modules with a shading problem, then just partially optimize these shaded modules, and then your photovoltaic system always will work the most efficient way. The next question is, do my PV modules fit to the optimizer? And here we have a little app, I would say. It's a checker app you find on our website, where you just can put in all the information from your module. So what is your MPP current? What is your MPP voltage? And if you did it like that, you get the result if you can combine this PV module with our optimizers without any problems. So then you know if you need optimizers, if your modules fit with the optimizer. The next question is, do my inverters fit? Like I said before, our optimizer works with all the inverters that has a global MPP tracking. But if you want to make sure if we already tested it, you find a list of all the inverters we tested here in our testing facilities on our website. There also is the certification of all the inverters we tested. If you have any questions, if you are missing one of the inverter, you just can write to us. Maybe we can help you, or we also test with the new inverter. One important part, we are not suitable to solar edge inverters because they have no MPP tracking algorithm in their inverter. The MPP tracking of solar edge works with their own optimizers. That's the main reason why you need an optimizer on each module there. So don't combine BRC optimizers with solar edge inverters. So the next question is, how many optimizers do you need? Yeah, and if you have questions like that, we have a little planning tool also on our website that helps you with the first information. If your voltage of a string is too less and you have to increase the modules in the string, but you can also just write us, ask us, show us a picture of your system, and maybe we can help you to say which or how many optimizers we would install. The easy way to say is, if you have different orientations, different inclinations, put an optimizer everywhere in order to always have the best result. If you have just a shading situation on some of the modules, put the optimizer to these specific ones. And the last question, of course, is, where do you get the optimizers? We just sell via wholesalers, so we don't sell directly to the hand craftsman, but we always working together with the wholesalers, and we're always searching for new wholesalers all over Europe. So on the website, you find our partners, our wholesalers, where you can buy our optimizer. If you are not able to buy the optimizer on one of these wholesalers, please feel free to contact us, tell us which of the wholesalers we are missing, and maybe we can do it together in order to bring our products in their portfolio. So feel free to get in contact with us. If you have any questions left, feel free to contact us, leave a comment down below and we will answer that. And also you can just go on our website and get in contact with us. Feel free to ask your questions. We are happy to help you. And I hope in the future you can use our optimizers to make the best photovoltaic systems out in the world in the future. Thank you for your attention and have a nice day.